Ladies and gentlemen, good evening from Taipei. Welcome to the 2025 GCSA Sustainable Excellence Forum, organized by the Taiwan Institute for Sustainable Energy, also known as TICE. My name is Sydney Tai, and it's my privilege to be your host tonight. Tonight, we gather sustainability experts, innovators, and business leaders from all over the world to celebrate excellence in sustainable action. We'll begin with an introduction to the Global Corporate Sustainability Awards, or GCSA. Then we will hear from our featured speakers, representing international companies that are advancing sustainability on a global scale. We are so excited to bring you a program filled with learning, inspiration, and meaningful dialogue. Now, to officially open our evening, please join me in welcoming Dr. Eugene Qian, Chairman of TICE, for his opening remarks.
Dr. Mugahid Barak, Mr. Martin Townsend, Mr. Paul Chow, Mr. Weili Cai, Mr. Nick Huang, distinguished leaders and changemakers around the world. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. I'm Dr. Eugene Qian, Chairman of the Taiwan Institute for Sustainable Energy, also known as TICE. It is my great honor to welcome you to the Global Corporate Sustainable Excellence Forum, both here in Taipei and online. Today's forum highlights the global role that technology plays in driving sustainable development. As an industry that transcends language and borders, technology helps us achieve the globalization and reach the new heights. In past decade, innovations in clean energy, digital systems, and smart city design have reshaped industries and optimized resource use. Companies that embrace these tools are becoming more efficient and showing us the way to the low-carbon future. Here at TICE, we honor these leading organizations through awards like the Global Corporate Sustainability Awards. Now, in its 8th year, this award, GCSA, has attracted over 10 countries, accumulating hundreds of awards to recognize the efforts of the companies worldwide in sustainability. I encourage you to apply for GCSA so your hard work can be recognized globally. Today, we are honored to hear Mr. Martin Townsend from the BSI Group, a leader in global sustainability standards. We also honored to welcome past GCSA winners, including Mr. Paul Chow from Stantec Inc., Mr. Weili Cai from Synapsis, and Mr. Nick Huang from Hong Hai Foxconn, who will share how they are meeting global and local challenges with creative solutions. Today's forum is a space for sharing and learning. As we engage, let us think about how we can use technology in our own organizations. Through clean energy, circular economy strategies, or sustainable supply chains. Together, let's seize this opportunity to connect, share ideas, and build lasting partnership. Thank you for joining us I look forward to the meaningful conversations that lie ahead. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Chien, for an inspiring beginning to our forum. Now we will take a moment to introduce the GCSA and walk through the application process for this prestigious award. Good morning or good afternoon. Greetings to sustainability leaders from around the world. No matter where you're joining us from, a very warm welcome from all of us here at TICE in Taipei. I'm excited to introduce the Global Corporate Sustainability Awards, or GCSA. Today, I'll walk you through the purpose and value of the award and other key information to know, our 2 award categories, and finally, what defines a strong application. Since 2018, the Global Corporate Sustainability Awards have celebrated organizations driving excellence in environmental, social, and economic sustainability. These companies align with global standards like the UN Sustainable Development Goals and demonstrate a strong commitment to transparency, collaboration, and long-term impact. GCSA features 2 award categories, the Sustainability Reporting Award and the Best Practices Award. Winners are selected by a global panel of judges from businesses, academic institutions, governments, and NGOs, and are honored at the annual Global Corporate Sustainability Forum, where leaders from over 20 countries share insights and drive progress. GCSA is organized by the Taiwan Institute for Sustainable Energy, which promotes public awareness, academic and technical collaboration, and cross-sector engagement in sustainability. The mission of GCSA is multifold. The award aims to raise awareness of sustainability best practices and inspire meaningful action, recognize innovation and leadership across industries, encourage alignment with global sustainability frameworks, highlight the interconnected nature of environmental, social, and economic responsibility, and strengthen corporate social responsibility within the global business community. So, why apply for GCSA? First, it's a chance to showcase your work on an international stage. GCSA winners are celebrated at the Global Corporate Sustainability Forum, where sustainability leaders share emerging trends, innovative solutions, and best practices. Second, GCSA is among the few awards to fully disclose all scoring criteria and weighting, ensuring a fair and straightforward application experience. Lastly, all applicants receive a 1-page summary of feedback from our panel of judges, offering helpful insights to refine their sustainability practices. Applications for GCSA are already open and will close on August 31st, 2025. Winners will be notified in mid-October and honored at the Global Corporate Sustainability Forum this November. Now let's take a look at the 2 award categories. First is the Sustainability Reporting Award, which recognizes organizations for exemplary sustainability reporting and is categorized in gold, silver, and bronze award levels. Each applicant may only submit 1 entry for this award. Second is the Best Practices Award, which is categorized in outstanding and excellent classes. There is no upward limit of entries for this award. Both awards have a fee of $1,230 per entry, with credit card as the preferred payment method. We welcome applications from a wide range of applicants: private companies, city governments, NGOs, universities, and hospitals, all of whom share a common mission of advancing sustainability. Now let's dive into the first of our 2 awards, the Sustainability Reporting Award. This award recognizes organizations for exemplary sustainability reporting based on completeness, transparency, and credibility. Applications must be centered around English language sustainability reports covering 2023 or 2024, and reports must use recognized global frameworks. The evaluation framework is split into 2 equal parts: Section A, Sustainability Report Disclosures, and Section B, multimedia applications. Each section contributes 50% of the total score. Section A includes 3 subsections, and Section B includes 4. This framework is structured as a checklist and is designed to make your application process as straightforward as possible. Please try your best to follow along as I briefly walk through each part. The first subsection of Section A addresses completeness, which covers the clarity and significance of the materiality assessment, the effectiveness of stakeholder inclusion and engagement methods, the strategy, which covers ESG management principles, sustainability value chain creation, and time-based topics, and lastly, organizational context, which covers information on the organization's products and services, financial performance, geographical presence, workforce demographics, and relationship with the environment. The next subsection within Section A, A2, addresses credibility. Within this subsection, applicants will be evaluated on the quality of their assurance and auditing processes, their management processes and reporting guidelines, governance strategies and performance indicators, performance according to economic, environmental, and social dimensions, supported by qualitative and quantitative descriptions, past challenges and lessons learned, and high-quality data, and finally, stakeholder inclusion within their strategies and policies. Next is the final subsection of Section A, which addresses communication aspects. Within this subsection, applicants' sustainability reports will be evaluated on clarity, readability, and visual presentation, structure, inclusion of standards, use of links, and ease of navigation, and finally, stakeholder inclusion within access and disclosure. Thanks for following along until now. Next, we move to Section B, Multimedia, which evaluates how digital tools support your sustainability communication. It begins with an evaluation of the website, which should be available in English, up-to-date, and easy to navigate. The next subsection assesses the clarity and visual quality of your digital sustainability report. Next, Section B3 evaluates the use of videos, newsletters, podcasts, and other multimedia tools to reinforce your message. Lastly, Section B4 evaluates the effectiveness of channels for stakeholder feedback and communication. That wraps up Section B. Here are the 7 total subsections of the full evaluation framework for the Sustainability Reporting Award for your reference. Keep in mind that you'll receive the complete checklist when applying. Submissions for this award must include a link to the organization's webpage in English, link to your organization's sustainability report in English, the completed evaluation framework checklist that we just walked through, a photo of the cover of your sustainability report, supporting documentation, and an acknowledgement form. Please note that all materials must be in English and address both qualitative and quantitative dimensions. We also strongly encourage you to include as many documents and visuals as needed to improve clarity and comprehension, as long as they directly reinforce and support the evaluation framework. For this award, the key to crafting the strongest application possible is to use the evaluation framework provided to guide every aspect of your submission. A strong submission is clearly organized by the evaluation framework, with each section labeled and fully addressed. Supporting documents, photos, and videos should also be thoughtfully chosen to directly reinforce the evaluation dimensions. Now we move on to the second GCSA award, the Best Practices Award. This award honors organizations for outstanding sustainability practices that demonstrate measurable impact. Applications are not restricted by time period, length, development stage, or area of focus, so you are free to showcase projects that best represent your work and your sustainability impact. The evaluation framework for this award includes 3 sections. Section A, Strategies and Objectives. Section B, Impact, Effectiveness, and Continuity. And Section C, Performance and Leadership. Similar to the previous award, I'll now walk you through each section in more detail. The first subsection of Section A addresses objectives. For this section, please clearly outline your practice background, the practice's aims, target groups, clearly defined strategies, and people involved. Next, Section A2 addresses the relevance and effectiveness of your practices in terms of integration with local communities and stakeholders, as well as on the global scale with the UN Sustainable Development Goals. Next, we move on to Section B. The first subsection is impacts, which is important for describing the measurable improvements or benefits resulting from the practice. Next is effectiveness, which refers to the effectiveness of project implementation and execution, including measurement, monitoring, and management processes. Next is continuity, where we want to know how you can ensure that the practice can be monitored and sustained in the long term with continued positive impacts. The final section assesses the performance and tangible outcomes of your best practice, detailing key achievements, influence on stakeholders, and alignment with objectives. Additionally, we evaluate leadership based on how the applicant has set an example within its industry or for similar initiatives. Submissions for this award must include your project's basic information, the name, abstract, and aims, as well as a list of people involved. Submissions must also include several written elements, including a description of your strategy and objectives in relation to background, target groups, short-term, mid-term, and long-term timeframes, relevance of practices, a comprehensive evaluation of the project's impact according to the objectives, target groups, and project differentiation, effectiveness and continuity of the practice across its implementation, communication, integration, and sustainment, and an assessment of the project's performance, highlighting key achievements, impacts on the target population and stakeholders, and alignment with objectives. Lastly, we also require a summary of the leadership that the project has demonstrated, and strongly encourage up to 2 supporting elements. These may include, but are not limited to, third-party assurance statements, certifications, posters and photographs, and multimedia presentations. To craft the strongest application for the Best Practices Award, we encourage you to highlight your sustainability strategy and impact, in addition to using the evaluation framework to guide all aspects of your submission. A strong application clearly presents a short, mid, and long-term sustainability strategy, demonstrates measurable impact, and is well organized by evaluation dimensions with fully labeled sections. Supporting documents and visuals directly reinforce the evaluation framework. Ultimately, your application should tell a compelling, well-rounded story of your impact. To apply for GCSA, first register on the GCSA website and remit your payment to TICE. Then, Prepare all relevant materials before the submission deadline of August 31st, 2025. Finally, ensure all materials are finalized before clicking Confirm on the submission portal, where no further changes can be made afterward. We hope this session was informative and inspires you to apply for GCSA. Your sustainability efforts are making a difference, and we're excited to help you share your achievements with the world. Please scan the QR codes on screen to begin your application or share the information with colleagues. Thank you, and we look forward to seeing your applications. We hope this introduction gave you a clear picture of the GCSA and how to get started on your application. We will now take a short break and resume shortly. Welcome back, everyone. Now it's time to hear from our keynote and our past GCSA award winners. Leading our discussion is Dr. Mujahid Bayrak, Assistant Professor of Geography at National Taiwan Normal University. As a member of the GCSA judging panel, Dr. Bayrak brings his deep expertise and insight to today's discussion. Please join me in giving a warm welcome to Dr. Bayrak. The floor is yours.
Good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you might be. My name is Mujahid Bayrak, like what is mentioned, and I'm an associate professor at National Taiwan Normal University. And it's both a great pleasure and a genuine honor to serve as the moderator for today for the Global Corporate Sustainability Awards, the Sustainable Excellence Forum. Although this is a virtual gathering, feel free to ask questions either through email or to other means to the speakers or to the organizers of today's event. We are here today because of a shared commitment that transcends borders, sectors, and individual interest. The Sustainable Development Goals, or the SDGs, represent the world's most comprehensive and interconnected roadmap for building a just, equitable, and sustainable future. With 17 goals and 169 targets, the SDGs are not just a framework for development, they are a call to transform the lives we live, produce, consume, and connect with each other, as well as the natural world. The SDGs are universal. They apply to everyone, to every country, to every individual, to every company, every business, all around the world. In that sense, they represent a shared responsibility and a shared opportunity. Over the years, I had the privilege of serving as one of the panel judges, and most recently in 2024, I served as a judge for the GCSA with a focus on best practice awards, reviewing company-led initiatives designed to create tangible and lasting change. Since its launch in 2018, the GCSA has honored organizations that lead in sustainability across environmental, social, and economic dimensions. These companies not only align their strategies with global goals like the SDGs, but they also have to demonstrate real commitment to transparency, innovation, and a long-term impact. For the Best Practice Award, we evaluated submissions based on 3 core pillars: strategy and objectives, impact, effectiveness, and continuity, and performance and leaderships. But today, I also want to offer a gentle yet important reminder. I do not come from the corporate world. I speak to you as a scholar and as a member of the general public. And from this perspective, I want to be clear. I'm not concerned with your profit margins or your annual growth rates. What truly matters to us, what truly matters to me as a member of the public, is the real world impact you are making on people, on communities, and on the planet. And there are 2 fundamental approaches to corporate sustainability. The first is the do no harm principle, ensuring your business does not cause damage to society or the environment. And the second one is the want to do good principle, where companies go beyond compliance and actively seek to create positive change. Unlike public institutions, which we can hold accountable through democratic processes, in the corporate world, we rely either on strong regulation or on the ethical leadership and voluntary commitment of companies to do the right thing. Seeking profit is a private gain, but when that pursuit causes environmental degradation or social harm, it becomes a public cost. So to do good, or at least to avoid doing harm, is not a favor you are doing to society. It's a moral obligation. It's part of the social contract that enables businesses to exist and thrive in the first place. And as consumers and citizens, we are becoming more informed, more critical, and more empowered. We are increasingly choosing to support companies that demonstrate their values through actions and not just words. And let's be honest, we are still far from where we need to be. If anything, the more we seem to talk about sustainability, the more we are confronted with worsening global trends, from biodiversity loss and climate disruption to growing inequality, wars, and even genocides. When I evaluated this year's best practice entries, these were the questions I carried with me. How does this initiative contribute to a truly sustainable and inclusive future? What evidence supports its effectiveness? How did you measure the impacts, both qualitatively and quantitatively? Is this an example of real leadership or just industry standard behavior? We expect you to treat your employees fairly. We do expect you not to harm society or the environment. These are basic expectations, not achievements. The real question is, what are you doing beyond that? What steps are you taking to go the extra mile to demonstrate that you truly care, that you are invested in shaping a better future? That's the level of dedication we sought to recognize through the Global Corporate Sustainability Awards. And those who speak today, those who won those awards, have demonstrated that. Thank you, and I look forward to an engaging and meaningful conversation today. So now I serve as a moderator of today's event, and I would like to invite Mr. Martin Townsend, the Growth Director of Knowledge Solutions BSI Group, to give a talk entitled Trends and Reflections. Mr. Townsend, thank you very much for joining us today, and I would like to invite you to give the first presentation. Thank you.
Brilliant. Thank you. And thank you for that wonderful introduction, because I think it sets the tone perfectly, but also just to sort of give an example of the reach of the work you're doing. I'm speaking to you from London today, and I think that's a clear demonstration in terms of the great work you're doing and actually the people that you're reaching. So as Dr. Burrock sort of mentioned, my name is Martin Townsend. I'm the Growth Director at BSI. I quite often call myself the head gardener at BSI because my role is to nurture and to grow relationships with clients, but also to reflect on what are those global trends and how do we as organisations need to adapt, because one thing is very, very clear, the world is changing. So I thought, just to kind of set the mood, to set the tone, to get you to think, I thought I would start with a quote. And this quote, I think, is a very poignant one because it embraces much that's been said already today. We're seeing lots of change happening. We're seeing environmental stresses and strains. We're seeing things such as water becoming a really significant issue. Globalization, aging population, all of these things are shaping our future. So I think that first paragraph of that quote sets that out really well. But it is the second paragraph that I think, for the purpose of today's conversation, we need to just spend a moment reflecting on, because it's the organizations that are going to creatively think about those stresses and strains and respond to those in a way that brings new solutions to market are going to be the organizations that grow and prosper. The last paragraph, I think, is a fairly tough reminder that if you're an organization that doesn't adapt, the Financial Times, or the quote from the Financial Times, suggests that you will be the organization, or an organization that doesn't succeed into the future. So I think that kind of just sets the tone for me in terms of the conversation we need to have. And I think at the start of today's event, I think the phrase was used, today is about a meaningful dialogue. So I'm hoping in the Q&A session we are going to have some of those questions which are going to surface some of these issues. But let me set down what I want to talk about. So I've been given 15, and by gentle negotiation have managed to get a few extra minutes as well, but I'm going to use that time very, very wisely. I want to reflect on what has been said already today about what is the model of change that we need to have in our mind as we think about the future. And then what I want to try and do is I want to wrap around that some of the environmental and social issues. And because of lots of the winners of various awards in the past have actually looked at technology as a solution, I want to kind of unpack that a little bit and share with you what I think some of the technology solutions of the future might look like. And then, like all good presentations, end on a meaningful comment about, so with all that you've heard today, what does this mean for you as an individual or you as an organization? So that's what I really want to cover. It will be a little bit of a canter, but hopefully, like all good, meaningful dialogue, it doesn't end today. I'm sure there'll be other opportunities to kind of explore some of this. So to kind of put down a marker, I suppose, I wanted to share with you, as I was building this presentation for today, I was thinking about what is the change model that we as individuals, or we as organizations, or as ecosystems, like groups of organizations, we need to think about. And for me, there are three elements to this, I suppose: purpose, trust, and function. And Dr. Burrock has already kind of mentioned some of these things. So I think I'm building on some of his great words already, which is, as a organization, as an individual within this ecosystem of change, what is our purpose? What are we trying to achieve? And I'm sure there is probably a separate presentation around what is a purpose-driven organization, because I think that is the sort of embodiment of what I'm trying to bring to this conversation, I suppose. For me, when we look at purpose, it's about understanding what value you're bringing to this conversation. For some, this is about public and client good, about the products and services that you're bringing to market. Sometimes it's about that insight, that change element, that catalyst that you're bringing. But it is about being really crystal clear about the purpose. about understanding the place that you have within the ecosystem and the role that you're playing. And I think if we go back to that point about purpose driven, it is going beyond shareholder value to understand what societal and wider benefits you bring to the conversation. A fundamental building block for me is trust. We are in a world now where we are swamped by data, but actually that data allows individuals to make decisions around, do they trust the brand that is being presented to them in terms of the product or service that's on offer. So in that trust equation, we need to be really, really clear about the quality and the uniqueness we're bringing to the people that we are providing a product or service. In that, I'm seeing a massive shift at the moment around this issue about openness in terms of kind of open solutions and the role that plays. So we need to kind of understand that a bit more. And then my last kind of sort of element, I suppose, is function. And goes back to that quote from the Financial Times that as part of the function of any organization, it is about the speed and the way in which you evolve, which will dictate your future. Are you listening? Are you understanding? Are you appreciating the market dynamics? And are you working to actually provide those solutions in a way that continues to evolve? I'm sure in this conversation, we will talk about a good example of evolution is moving from a commodity to a product to a service. And I think in many respects, we're now starting to talk about the experience economy. So if we look at sort of circularity as an example, evolution described by an experience economy becomes a really good example of that. So those are my kind of sort of hypothesis or my model of change. I want to wrap around it now. A number of shaping factors. Badly drawn on the screen in front of you is my hand, basically. And what I was trying to demonstrate here is I am not a fortune teller. But when I talk to organizations across the world, I am seeing 7 or 8 trends that are basically shaping the conversation in quite a dynamic way. So if I kind of just gently touch on these just to kind of put them into your mind. In a pre-pandemic world, growth for many organizations was around mergers and acquisitions. What I'm seeing a fundamental change in the world we live in now is collaboration, is that transformative way we grow. So understanding who we collaborate with, how we enter into that collaboration and how we exit that collaboration becomes very, very, very important. That issue that we've talked about already, about going beyond shareholder value, so that purpose-driven organization ingredient is becoming more important. I'm sure if we get into conversation, I can give you some examples of what that really means in practice, but society is expecting corporates to go beyond profit and actually profit with purpose. And I think there's some good definitions which I can share with you about what that looks and feels like. Circularity is a major driving force in all sectors now. It doesn't matter whether it's built environment, it doesn't matter if it's healthcare, mobility. Circularity as a new way of thinking is really shaping conversations. It's shaping it from a way of looking at efficient use of materials, but it's also an incredibly powerful policy driver as well. And we can talk about that as well in the Q&A session about what are some of those issues. All of us are very aware when we turn on the TV, we listen to the radio, we look at our newspapers, whatever way we take in our information, that our markets are now more volatile than they ever have been before. We're seeing lots of kind of uncertainty related to policies coming out of the White House, but that market volatility needs to be stabilized. And I think we need to kind of understand how and what that looks like. I've mentioned before about brands. We as individuals have our own brands, but so do the organizations we represent. they are in the firing line more than ever before because of that point about transparency. There is so much data now within the public domain, which allows us to understand with what is being said and what an organization or individual is doing. Are they aligned, or are they just the words that are being talked to us, and actually actions are separate? There is an expectation, and I've underlined that word, for global governance. I think if we went back a few years, global governance was an issue that was really front and center. I think we're going to start to see like-minded countries and organizations trading more together, because I think that's the real process of change. On the hand on the left-hand side, I've put a few kind of thought pieces as well in terms of things like GDP. Is that a good way of measuring how we look at society? We could have a real in-depth conversation about that. So if I go a little bit deeper now, what does this really mean? I suppose when I think about the detail in terms of some of the trends I'm seeing, we are being shaped by climate pressures. It doesn't matter where you sit on the conversation in terms of climate pressures. We are having to adapt. We have to think more resiliently about our supply chains. Those climate pressures are taking the form of floods and droughts. They're taking the forms of understanding in terms of our emissions, in terms of carbon emissions. And related to that, there is now a very, very clear understanding within most businesses that relationship in terms of risk management, not just in terms of how do we ensure that we are thinking to the future and where would we get our materials or our resources from, but also in terms of what does that mean from a financial perspective. So if we look at transition finance, what does that look like in terms of where funding might come from for the future? What are the considerations that our investors might think about? I mentioned transparency again because I think it's incredibly important. And I think within that transparency, it is about understanding our supply chains. It is about making sure we understand who we are partnering with, who we are working with, to make sure we get things right. If I kind of just pick up a few other off this list as well, I'm going to mention consumption. That's number 12 on my list, because I'm a firm believer that if we start to think about the move from a product to a service economy, we can start to change patterns of behavior around consumption. That's about thinking about new business models. It's about understanding how we can enable growth in a much more sustainable way. I think there's a lot of opportunity in there in terms of the changes that we can see and we should see. And it's about understanding how we enable that change as organizations. This slide is a slide you should never put into a PowerPoint presentation because there's so much information in it. But I don't want you to necessarily look at the detail. I'm just going to pull out a few reflections around this, I suppose. What I wanted to share here is that when I look at the trends that I put onto the previous slide, when I look at it through a sector lens, through healthcare, through construction, retail, aerospace, mobility in general, the rate of change is very, very different across different sectors. And that's because when you reflect, it's driven by client need, it's driven by consumer expectations, it's driven by legislation. So when we talk about change, change is not consistent. It's actually has various different factors. But what I think is also important to reflect on as well is when we start to look at the new models of organizational resilience and sustainability, there is now greater opportunity to share knowledge between different sectors. So that sort of sector jump of knowledge becomes really important, because actually we're working in an ecosystem where the opportunity to share knowledge is greater now than it's ever been before. And so when we start to think about some of the technology that's been developed in the aerospace, or the materials that's been developed in the aerospace industry, we can see it jumping into different sectors. I think a good example to give for you on this one is if we look at the the battery technology in electric vehicles, that technology now sits in quite a lot of domestic properties because it is robust. It is tested because the automotive industry is very rigorous on its testing. And therefore, actually moving it into other sectors means that we get the advantage of that knowledge and that robustness so that we can move forward at pace. So this slide is kind of demonstrating lots of things. It's demonstrating that change is not consistent. The drivers for change are very different in different sectors, but there is an opportunity for all of us to actually think about, when we think about new ideas, how do we actually do those shifts between sectors to actually support that change? And this slide is just that extension of that kind of table to look at the sort of the other elements. We're seeing a little bit more kind of movement, I suppose, around sort of corporate liabilities and governance models and an appreciation of consumption. The next point, I suppose, in my kind of thoughts and ideas is that when we think about change, we need to understand the mechanisms of change. And what I was reflecting on as I was building this presentation for you is that in a lot of examples, the process of change comes through regulation, because there is that organizations are driven to do something because the regulatory floor is moving. But I think when organizations are actually on that journey to improve, they then start to realize that maybe the starting point is from an environmental perspective, but quite quickly you then start to see other benefits. You start to see the social expectations and social benefits of what you're doing. There are lots of really good examples where organizations who are priding themselves on their environmental credentials have actually then started to attract the new talent, because demonstrating they're doing the right thing actually brings in the talent of the future, because they're drawn to those organizations to improve. And then I suppose the point that I was getting to on this this graph is that as we start to move through the environmental and social kind of change, that gives us an understanding that we need to innovate, we need to change, because to actually make the most of our organizational sort of presence in the market and to realize the environmental and social opportunities, innovation is the next evolution. So let me just kind of just canter through some of the issues that I'm seeing in terms of changes in the market. So I just want to kind of touch on the materials side, because one thing that is fascinating to watch, spectate, is the change in terms of how we're learning much, much more from nature. Over the last 5-10 years, I have seen a massive shift in terms of biomaterials. And some of this is driven by the conversation which all of us are having, I suppose, around sort of single-use plastics. But how can we start to understand how we can mimic nature in many respects when it comes to material design? I think that's going to be a massive shift again, not just in terms of the materials, but in terms of the way some of those biomaterials react. There again, there's probably a whole presentation in that. The other element in that same material space is around digital twins. We are probably quite used to the terminology digital twins when it comes to the built environment, but I'm actually now starting to see how that is being extended into the life cycle of products and how that information is used in product design. That is a massive emerging area. Another area to kind of just dwell on for a second or two is the issue of sensors and smart sensors. We just completed a piece of research looking at smart sensors for the water industry. And by measuring 3 chemical components of water, that's water disposed from sort of development, you can actually measure 30 elements. So actually by modeling the relationship between certain characteristics of water, you can actually predict what's happening in a catchment, in a river, within a city, with incredibly high precision, but also in terms of low cost. So I think that issue in terms of how we're using smart sensors and smart infrastructure to drive better performance in our design of infrastructure becomes incredibly important. One area that is also very much on my radar at the moment is the issue around agriculture. I'm starting to see applications now in terms of how we might see vertical farming in cities. So how do we actually bring food into cities? How do we think about agriculture as a way of capturing carbon? So we've got technology solutions, we've got nature-based solutions, so a massive shift in that space. From a clean energy tech perspective, microgrids are becoming incredibly prevalent in terms of how do we manage energy in a smarter way. All of this is a demonstration that although we have significant problems when it comes to some of the trends and some of the pressures and some of the stresses and strains, technology is providing us with a solution as well. So mindful that this is the sort of end of my 20 minutes, I wanted to leave you with what does this mean? Because I have thrown at you an immense amount of information in a very shallow form. So for me, this is all about how you lead. Going back to that quote, it's about a state of mind. It's about your values and your evidence. I think that the future in terms of competitiveness will come through innovation and credibility. And I think the market will be very much driven by customer expectations in terms of your business models and your thinking. So at that point, I will leave you and thank you for your time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Martin Townsend of BSI Group, for a very inspiring talk. Mr. Townsend was actually a 4-time GCSA judge for us. So if you decide to enter this competition, be aware. Okay, thank you so much. I would like to introduce the next speaker now. That is Mr. Paul Cho. His title of his presentation is The Winning Case of Sustainability Reporting Award of Stantec Inc. Please help me welcome Mr. Cho for his presentation. Mr. Cho, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you. So my name is Paul Cho, and I'm the Executive Deputy General Manager for Stantec's Taiwan and Asia operation. So before I begin, first of all, I would like to thank GCSA for inviting us here and to share our little contributions to sustainability. We actually were the International Silver Award winner last year. But when you look at some of the other companies that we're up against during the competition, you realize how strong the competition was. Many of these companies were already doing what they can to promote and to lead some very strong efforts towards achieving sustainability. And Stantec is honored, to be considered as part of the group and working together towards a common goal. So in this session, I share Stantec's effort. So Stantec is actually a multidisciplinary architecture and engineering global consulting firm. We're actually a public company, and we're currently listed on both New York Stock Exchange and the Toronto Stock Exchange. Even though our parent company is registered in Canada, our operation is very global. We currently have about 32,000 employees sitting inside any one of our 450 offices around the world. We're actually a perennial top 10 companies when it comes to consulting, as ranked by Engineering News Records and other reputable journals. Corporate Knights actually also recognize us as the most sustainable technical services companies in the world. We've been #1 for 6 years in a row now. Here in Taiwan, though, we've been operating primarily in water and environmental consulting for the past 34 years. And currently, we have about 350 people. They are locally hired and are based in Taiwan. So at Stantec, sustainability is not simply a project outcome or a reporting requirement. So it actually defines our culture, our value, and how we show up every day as designers, engineers, architects, scientists, and community partners. From how we operate internally to the outcomes we deliver externally, we actually embed sustainability into everything we do because it's part of who we are. And Stantec remains true to our foundational approach to sustainability. We focus on actions that result in meaningful change. And in order to maximize our effectiveness, Stantec focuses on the core SDGs, which are listed here on the slides, where we have the most positive impacts on. We actually rolled out our 2024 to 26 strategic plan last year, not only to grow our businesses, but also to ensure that we are responding directly to our rapidly changing world. 3 strategic growth initiatives, we call them SGIs, have been identified and developed. And these are climate solutions, communities, infrastructure of the future, and future technology. Now, these 3 SGIs ensure a strong tie between our operating strategies and our sustainability goals. And in fact, 1 year into the plan, we have already created $4.6 billion of SDG aligned revenue, and this represents roughly 62% of our total global revenue in 2024. Just to show you some of the projects that we've undertaken in recent years, I think these would be good examples on some of our commitments to the SGIs. And in fact, this particular one is in Taiwan. It's constructed wetlands from Dahan River. It's a place called Puding Drainage. So Dahan River is actually a crucial source of drinking water for the northern or the greater Taipei area. It's also an area of important ecological value, which with several protected land and aquatic protected species living inside its catchment. So to preserve the quality and the long-term sustainability of the catchment area, the Taoyuan city government engaged us. And we decided that a nature-based solution, we call NBS, is the way to go. So we helped implement a series of wetlands that will support treating over 10,000 tons of water per day, which in the process will remove 62 kilograms per day of pollutants in the river. So this has created a win-win situation between wastewater treatment as well as preserving an ecologically important habitat. Our design also included safeguarding biodiversity and also growing the existing forest, as well as integrating the wetlands into a 150 hectares of protected waterfronts and also about 15 hectares of parks and recreational amenities for the local communities. The second project, Hamdan bin Rashid Cancer Hospital, is actually in Dubai. It's actually Dubai's first integrated comprehensive cancer hospital. Stantec was there to support their architecture and engineering and construction services. So with over 56,000 square meter of floor area, this hospital will actually feature 50 clinics in the future, and also 5 radiotherapy rooms and also over 100 inpatient beds. The hospital also includes 19 gardens and many other open spaces for natural light. And this will actually create healing spaces for the patients and their families while they're there. The hospital will be designed to key international building standards, including LEED gold standards as well as WELL standards. But really, more importantly, this will actually transform healthcare in Dubai by providing certain treatment and health and care services to the patients in the comfort of their homes, ensuring easy and accessible continuum of care in Dubai City around the hospital. This one is called Debris Flow Predictor. It's actually one of Stantec's key innovations in recent years. This is also an example of how technology can be used to overcome climate challenges. So with this technology, we can actually predict and simulate when debris flow would happen, the areas it passes, and also their eventual impact on the local cities and communities. So using debris flow, we can then test out various prevention and mitigation measures, evaluating their effectiveness before they're actually built and used. Cities can also use this tool to plan and guide civilian evacuation routes, for example, making sure they're safe and away from the disaster when it happens. This will ensure minimum losses to lives and assets for the local communities. Apart from delivering projects, we're also embedding sustainability into our own core operations. So guided by our ESGs, we have clear targets and metrics set out for each category, which we have to report regularly. And this is also disclosed to our shareholders and the public. Some of this would include, say, for example, meeting our emission reduction targets, improving our employee engagement. This we've actually done reasonably well, particularly last year. Over 62% of our employees actually felt engaged. Other things like ethics training, over 95% of employees actually completed ethics training in both 2023 and 2024. So it's something that we, as a company, feel that it's something we have to do, something we have to emphasize. So we keep providing this kind of training year after year. We also understand that achieving sustainability is not just a one person or one firm effort, but also requires engagement and collaborations on many fronts. Therefore, we actively engage our stakeholders, both upstreams and downstreams, including our suppliers and partners, our employees, clients, investors, to the local communities, and we try to explore and align our goals with each other. Internally, we use tools such as the carbon footprint dashboard on the right-hand side, so that every staff is aware of how our day-to-day life is actually affecting our collective sustainability. And this is not just an ESG tool, but also can look at it as a starting point to many staff's own initiated actions to contribute. Externally, though, we host forums such as Innovation Forum, which gathers experts, clients, and other community members to join in on the brainstorming and development of solutions to the challenges we all face together. Stantec Sustainability Report, well, it actually follows most international guidelines and frameworks, such as GRI, SASB, and TCFD, etc. And it's also part of our commitment to transparency. So it's one of the largest consulting firms in the world. It is also in our DNA to understand how to strike that balance between amount of information and also report readability. So we try not to make the report too lengthy, too thick, too boring, but instead to have a story to tell. We make sure that we're disclosing all the key information which reflects our actions and commitments, but at the same time, also utilize things such as the interactive PDF technologies to enhance the reader's experiences. So it is our belief that a good report should be a communication facilitator. So really, when it comes to preparing our report for the award submission, we didn't really over-engineer it. And instead, we took a step back and really just sat and reflected on the projects we delivered in the past. And we ask ourselves, not, did we do a good job? No. Instead, we ask ourselves, what kind of impact did this create on the people, on the communities, and on the environment? So when we thought about this that way, everything became clear. Because sustainability is not something that we add on. It's how we think, it's how we design, it's how we deliver, it's how we live. So that's why preparing for the award wasn't too difficult for Stantec, because we didn't need to try to fabricate anything new, any new story. We simply had to just tell the story the way we're already living on. Sustainability is, again, embedded in every aspect of what we do. That's why we believe every action, every decision is a chance to shape a more sustainable and more resilient future. So that is my presentation. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Palcho, for your very interesting presentation. And during the Q&A, we will ask some questions back and forth. But thank you so much for your presentation. I would like to go. Thank you. I would like to go to the next presentation now by Mr. Willy Tsai. He's an EHS manager of Synapsis Inc. and is a winning case of a Best Practice Awards. Thank you very much, Mr. Willy Tsai, for giving a presentation today, and the floor is yours.
Hello, everyone. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. It is a pleasure to be here at the GCSA Online Forum. I'm Willy Tsai, EHS Manager at Synapsis Taiwan. Today, I'd like to share with you how Synapsis Taiwan is helping to shape the future through our STEAM education and IC design training program under the banner of I See the Future. This is not just a slogan, and it is a long-term strategy rooted in the belief that innovation starts with education. So let's explore how we are enabling the next generation of talent. So here is today's agenda. I will guide you through how we support the next generation of talent through ESG-aligned education initiative. So let me begin with a brief introduction to Synapsis. Synapsis was founded in 1986 and is headquartered in Sunnyvale, California. We are global leaders in electrical design automation, or EDA, with over 19,000 employees across 45 offices worldwide and over 35 years of innovation. We provide software and IP that power the world's most advanced semiconductor design. So our EDA tools are the invisible agents behind the chip powering everything from smartphone to satellites. So what is EDA? EDA is electrical design automation. Think of it this way. If you were drawing a picture, you will use drawing software like Adobe. To design a chip, engineers will use EDA software. Synapsis supplies tools and services to the semiconductor design and manufacturing industry. Products including tools for logical synthesis and the physical design of integrated circuits, simulator of development, and the debugging environment that assist in the design of logic for chips and the computer system. As the world-leading silicon to system design solution company, we have become a trusted partner for technology innovators everywhere, offering comprehensive and trusted solutions for chip design, verification, and IP integration that empower our customer to drive advances across industry. So we are now at a time of massive transformation. As industries evolve, let the world look at those who created the next generation of silicon. So the three major technologies trend, like artificial intelligence, silicon's proliferation, and the software design systems, are shaping a new era of pervasive intelligence. For years, Synapsis has been a driving force of the trend, delivering silicon to systems and design solutions that has been essential of enabling them. For nearly 4 decades, Synapsis has developed essential technologies that makes advanced silicon chips possible, enabling chip capacity to increase 1 million times from 2,000 transistors to 200 billion transistors. The innovations we are powering today are helping to ignite the industries tomorrow. So today's advanced chips advance everything in our life. They are increasingly AI-powered and essential part of software-defined intelligence system. We are in a new era of pervasive intelligence, where smart technologies are seamlessly integrated into the fabric of our life. As the leading provider of engineering software and solutions from silicon to system, at Synapsis, we don't just power this transformation, we help to define it. Okay, So now let's talk about the Synapsis ESG. At Synapsis Taiwan, ESG is not a report or a checklist. It is embedded in our missions and the daily business operation. So our Smart Future ESG strategy guides our strategies and programs. Synapsis recognizes that we drive innovation and business success in the era of proactive intelligence. So we are responsible for sustainability of our operations, products, and ecosystem. We maintain a robust governance structure for our ESG effort, guiding and acting on our highest priority ESG impacts, business, risks, and opportunities to create a positive impact for our stakeholders, customers, employees, partners, and the local community. So our Smart Future strategy provides a focus and a structure for how we manage our own operational impact and influence others around us to create a better world. We are not only reducing our own environmental footprint, but also leveraging our expertise, resource, and problem-solving skill to inspire positive change throughout our ecosystem. Working with our community, customers, partners, and suppliers to create a more sustainable future. So our ESG work concentrates on three pillars like education, community, and environment. In education, our focus is on STEAM education. In community, we serve the regions where we operate. And in environment, we are addressing climate change. Especially, we inspire and engage students to build problem solving, design thinking, and digital skills, and increase diversity in STEAM education and career path. This education commitment connected directly to our core business, that is EDA and IC design. So, as Taiwan continues leading in semiconductor innovation, our role is to prepare future innovators, bridge equity gaps, and essential success in sustainability by empower the next generations of semiconductor professionals, including students, educators, researchers, and entrepreneurs around the world. So our mission is to cultivate the next generation IC engineering talent. And our value is to empower future leaders through diverse academia programs. And our core value is fostering a culture of giving among Synapsis Taiwan employees. So now, let me introduce our signature initiative, I See the Future. I See the Future is more than a slogan. It is our guiding principle and philosophy. So we view IC as both integrity circuit and integrated collaboration among the industry, academia, and the government. So it's about igniting curiosity in science, sustaining talent pipeline, and integrating ESG into very fabric of education. So Taiwan has a comprehensive semiconductor supply chain from upstream IC design to downstream packaging and testing. Taiwan plays a critical global role in semiconductor. Number one in IC manufacturing and testing, and number two in IC design. In 2024, the output of Taiwan's semiconductor industry is projected to reach approximately 165 billion in US dollar. Advanced technology nodes below 7 nanometer account for 70% of global production capacity. Semiconductor now make up 40% of Taiwan's total exports. But behind this success is a looming challenge. According to local data, the semiconductor industry in Taiwan needs about 23,000 skilled workers each month, especially in STEAM-related fields. However, fewer students are choosing STEAM majors. Over the past decade, enrollment in STEAM programs has decreased by 16.5%. For example, we expect only 7,000 graduates from IC design departments, but there are 9,000 jobs opening in this year's area in this year. So we must act, and the Synapsis is committed to close this gap. So we believe in growing Taiwan's next generation semiconductor talent. That is why we invest in growing semiconductor talent. And our flagship program, I See the Future, creates a comprehensive education pipeline tailored to every stage, from elementary school to university and beyond. This integrated approach is not just a one-time project. It is our long-term strategy for sustainable impact. So, what makes our approach unique is how it connects early education with advanced engineering. So our program serves 4 key age groups. First is pre-K to K-12, promotion of STEAM in rural area. Second, K-3 to K-15, STEAM Explorer program. Third, K-16 to K-18, IC Education Summer Camp. And the last step is K-19 and beyond, Synapsis Academia Research Alliance, that is SARA programs. From elementary school science experience to hands-on IC design training in universities, we want students to see the whole journey of innovation. Each initiative builds awareness, confidence, skills, and ultimately a career path in STEAM. By 2032, our goal is to reach over 10,000 students, provide cutting-edge tools, and work with schools to improve access to industry-relevant education. So now let's look at our program's outcome. So the first program is we know early inspiration makes all difference. So that is why we invest heavy in STEAM education others at the elementary and the junior high school levels. One great example is our collaboration with Teach for Taiwan to co-organize the promotion of STEAM education. To support underserved and rural students by building early interest and basic understanding in STEAM, Synapsis is not just a sponsor. We also launched the Science Talents Cultivation Program, where our engineers visit rural schools, conduct hands-on experiments, and serve as role models. As you can see, we cultivate talent from diverse backgrounds to serve as a state teacher. These individuals commit to working as a full-time elementary school teachers for 2 years in high-need areas of Taiwan. As the official school faculty members, they adopt a long-term and stable approach to inspire student learning, strengthen foundation education, track academic progress, and continuously enhance curriculum design. Additional one-day science camps are held each quarter to spark children's interest to explore science. Students also show growth in non-cognitive skills, with 17 demonstrating a positive increase in self-efficiency regarding the statement, "I'm capable of facing and solving problems." So the other program is we partnered with the National Yangming Jiaotong University to organize a summer camp and online seminar. Well, the program emphasizes both IC foundation and hands-on practice, including corporate site visits, to give students a comprehensive view of the semiconductor industry. So the goal is inspire the next generation's interesting in science and semiconductor while promoting growth of the semiconductor ecosystem. 2 in-person campus sessions and 1 in online expert seminars were held, and 18 courses covered topics such as semiconductor, IC design foundations, and hands-on IC software design, company visit, and experience sharing by senior leaders in Synapsis. Introductions including both industry professionals and academia professions. So total 500 students joined us last year. The most important thing is that over 80% of students now choose the pursue studies in STEAM field. So that is why we want to improve the STEAM education. And the other program is we collaboration with PIDA. Synapsis hosts science competitions for high school students across Taiwan and the Chinese-speaking communities in Southeast Asia. The competitions including semi-final and the final rounds judged by scholars and experts. In 2022, with over 1,000 teachers and students involved, most participant students perused STEAM and more medical-related majors at the top 5 universities in Taiwan. So this program is we are deeply committed to IC design talent training, where Synapsis core strengths and shine. This program is driven by Synapsis directly. So this program's target is university-level students by offering leading academia's institutes and research centers access to advanced tools, technologies, and training courses in advanced semiconductor. This program also gives students real-world design challenges, mentorship from Synapsis engineer, and a clear pathway to career paths in the semiconductor industry. 500 students from different schools participant last year. Several curriculum, including IC design and AIoT, supported by scholarship and 60 intern opportunity. Students development knowledge and practical skill in AI and AIoT, improve their capability in the system design, software and hardware integration, and innovative application. Well, we recognize that we can't do this alone, so that is why ecosystem collaboration is at the heart of our strategy. We work closely with government, agency, academic institute, and nonprofit organizations to scale impact. In our course, we involved the Synapsis employee. More than 400 volunteers from our Taiwan office have participated in the outreach programs, membership, and event organization. It is a holistic, multi-stakeholder effort. So, what impact have we made so far? In 2023, over 5,000 students have participated in our programs. Over 200 schools has been engaged across all education levels, and our team has contributed more than 1,000 volunteer hours. We have involved over $1 million, so the number is meaningful. But what more important is the sustainable includes the talent pipeline we are building for Taiwan and the global industry. Well, by 2032, our goal is include reach 10,000 plus students, expanding partnership across Asia Pac, developing a regional IC education network. So we envision a future where Taiwan and the broader APAC region lead not only in IC manufacturing, but in IC innovation, powered a new generation of talent. and we invite more partners, governments, academia, and industry to join us. In close, I see the future is more than a program. It is our commitment to the next generation of engineers, innovators, and problem solvers. We believe that empower future innovators is the most sustainable investment we can make, and we're excited to continue build this future together. If you are interested in collaborating, mentoring, or learning more about our program, please come speak with me after this session. Let's see the future together. Thank you for your attention and your time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Willy Tsai from Synapsis for giving a very interesting presentation. I would like to move forward to Mr. Nick Huang. It's a winning case of Sustainability Reporting Award of Hanhai Inc. of Foxconn. Mr. Nick Huang is head of the Sustainability Committee Office of Hanhai Foxconn. The floor is yours, Mr. Huang.
Hi, good day, everyone. I'm Nick Huang from Foxconn's ESG team. It's an honor to be here today to share Foxconn's path to sustainability, how we are achieving our goals across diverse business and on a global scale. Over the years, no matter the industry changes, managing across cultures, or dealing with complex corporate governance, we have always kept moving forward. I'm sure many of you feel the same way I do. Our world is changing faster than ever. Climate change is getting more serious, and the society is holding companies to higher standards. These shifts are pushing all of us to thinking differently, to rethink how business must transform and truly commit to sustainable development. In this kind of environment, we have the goal to promote a greener, more transparent, and more responsible way of doing business. I'm really looking forward to today's exchange of ideas. I hope we can learn from each other, share openly, and work together. So next, I would like to begin by sharing a bit about the scale of Foxconn as a company, the challenge we have faced, and how we have approached sustainability, not just in theory, but in practice, step by step. Foxconn is a global leader in the technology industry. We have around 900,000 employees worldwide, with operations in more than 20 countries and regions. We also maintain long-term partnership with thousands of suppliers with this kind of scale and footprint. We naturally face many challenges, especially when it comes to a cross-border management, cultural integration, and resource coordination. Our electronics manufacturing business, including consumer, cloud networking, computer, EV, and component manufacturing, that means we need a highly efficient and transparent system for cross-functional collaboration. It's the only way to ensure smooth communication and a faster response between our global sites and across every part of our supply chain. Let me give you a quick example. When the global supply chain is disrupted or the demand changes, we rely on advanced information systems and management tools to quickly relocate production lines. This really tests our ability to allocate resources and how quickly our teams can adapt in different regions. Receiving this award today is a strong recognition of our professional in the face of these global challenges. In addition, to better navigate market uncertainties, we have been active actively adopting new management tools and production technologies. Our goal is not just to maintain efficiency, but to take it a step further by building greater flexibility and innovation into our organization. These ongoing efforts are a key foundation for our journey toward long-term sustainability. Sustainability has always been at the heart of Foxconn's overall strategy. To truly put this commitment into action, we started from the top, by establishing a sustainability committee at the corporate level. We have also set 32 long-term goals that cover a wide range of areas, including environment, social responsibility, and corporate governance. Our goal isn't just to align with international standards. We are also actively supporting global initiatives like RE100, like Climate Action 100 Plus. At the same time, we have introduced our code of conduct and human rights policy to ensure that every decision we make and every part of our operations is carried out under a transparent and a responsible framework. At Foxconn, our sustainability strategy goes far beyond our internal operations. It extends across our global sites, our subsidiaries, and even throughout our entire supply chain. We regularly publish supply responsibility reports and hold our partners to the same high standards for environmental and social responsibility. We hope to make the industry more competitive and more innovative. We are also engaged in dialogue with the world, whether it's with scholars, industry experts, or international organizations. We maintain close partnership and participate in global sustainability conference. These exchanges allow us to stay up to date on the latest trends and continuously refine our own practices. In short, from top-level strategy to underground execution, from internal operations to external partnerships, Hong Hai is building a sustainability ecosystem, and that ecosystem is the foundation of our strong leadership in ESG. Once we defined our overall sustainability strategy, the next step was to break down each goal into clear plans. To start, we introduced a third-party audit system and an expert consultant to help us optimize our internal management process and production standards across the board. This approach allows us to identify potential risks early and ensures that every part of our operations aligns with international best practices. As a result, even when we face political or economic uncertainty, we are able to adapt quickly and maintain our competitive. In terms of our supply chain, we have organized several specialized training stations and workshops where we invited experts from both domestic and international markets to share the latest technologies and management practices. These initiatives help our partners continuously improve their technical skills and quality management standards. These activities not only provide a platform for deeper collaboration among our supply chain partners, but also drive the entire industry towards standardization in areas like environmental protection, energy efficiency, and self-production. Right now, we are approaching the final year of our first phase goals. We are already planning for the next 5 years. With a strong focus on the technological innovation, green transformation, and deepening our social responsibility. Our goal isn't just to improve performance metrics. We want these efforts to align with international expectations. To ensure these high-level strategies are truly implemented at every department and every level, we have established an ESG task force to drive collaboration across different business units. This has not only improved our internal communication, but also made everything more efficient, from R&D and the production to getting products to market, whether it's our production lines, R&D centers, or global sales system. They all follow sustainability standards to push forward our ESG transformation. In addition, we have established a sustainability reward system to recognition department or business units that excel in ESG performance. This system encourages every team to actively participate in achieving our sustainability goals. Through these rewards, we not only boost internal engagement, but also demonstrate Foxconn's commitment and achievements in driving sustainability and governance. In summary, from our management systems and digital tools to supply chain integration, we are steadily building a complete and efficient framework for sustainability. This will also provide a solid foundation for Foxconn to stay competitive in the global market.
预祝今天的永续奖
This is
典礼
our
圆满
Foxconn
成功。
internal ESG reward.
ESG 的推动，它绝对不是一个口号。
ESG 的这个推动呢，不只是靠一个部门，而是整个集团每一个人的责任。
我们已经正式成为这个 GCSA 永续年鉴的这个成员之一。
ESG 已经不只是企业的一种责任，更是企业的核心竞争力提升的一个重要的战略。
积极减碳其实是每一个企业社会的责任。
因为聚焦到 ESG 的核心，就是我们的产品和服务，我们的商业行为。
一个企业文化绝对是鸿海的核心力量。
We can see our partners, our customer, and our vendor supply chain. They all join this award.
仔细听了一下自己的长报告，我觉得其实鸿海是做得非常完整。
鸿海科技集团永远是做的比说的多。
就大致这一点就是合法合规，说到做到。
当我们在从事一个新的 business 的时候，其实也不能只看既有法规，然后思考说其他的一些风险。
基本上把当下的法规、过去的法规甚至将来的法规，我们都在我们的管理之中的时候，我们这样就变成一个预防性的、主动性的观念。
Okay. Okay, we can see digital transformation is a key tool for driving our changes. Our newly launched Foxconn Sustainability System. This platform allows us to monitor and analyze 32 sustainability goals in real time, helping us quickly access data, make forecasts, and make decisions. Not only does this improve operational efficiency, but it also enables us to identify potential risks earlier and prepare well. By going digital, we are not only saving on labor costs, but also making our decisions more accurate and data-driven. Next slide. Okay, today, dear partner, we have had the opportunity to reflect on some of Foxconn's experience and achievements in global operations management and ESG practices. With nearly 900,000 employees, locations in multiple countries, thousands of suppliers, and a diverse range of industries, every challenge pushes us to face it head on, driving us to innovate and grow. Receiving this award today is a high-level recognition of our efforts in sustainable development and international governance, but it's also a new starting point that inspires us to keep moving forward and embrace even more challenges. I would like to take this moment to extend a special thanks to all the partners who have supported Foxconn's ES journey. It's because of your continuous pursuit of excellence and and our collective efforts to build a greener, more sustainable further that Foxconn has achieved what we have today. As I shared earlier, the work Foxconn has done in ESG isn't just showcased through our sustainability reports, but also serves as a demonstration of the company's governance achievements, allowing more people to see the impact we have made in sustainability. Looking ahead, we will continue to focus on ESG and innovation as our core values, while further environment protection, social responsibility, and governance effectiveness. We also look forward to collaborating with more ESG professionals around the world, working together to create a more transparent, responsible, and sustainability. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much, Mr. Huang, for your wonderful presentation on Foxconn's achievements. We are now excited to move to our Q&A session where Dr. Barak and I will ask our speakers some prepared questions. So to our speakers, please turn your cameras back on at this time. And we also ask that you limit your responses to just verbal responses within 2 minutes, if possible. So I'd love to begin our Q&A by asking a question directed to our keynote speaker, Mr. Townsend. So you mentioned the importance of circularity in terms of both business practices and also transforming our global economy to a more circular economy. But that term can often feel kind of intimidating, especially for individual organizations. So would you be able to take a moment to unpack the circular economy term, and perhaps, if you feel it's needed, demystify the term for our audience members?
What a great question to start with. Where do I start? I think it's probably worthwhile just taking a moment to look at how we manage that cycle already, I suppose. So if we think about our existing linear economy, before we talk about circular economy. We work on the basis of extract, make, use, dispose. What we're seeing, though, is we're moving from a product-centered economy to a service-centered economy. And because we're moving in that direction, we need to think about what are the different business models. So if I kind of give you a couple of examples, if we start to look at the built environment, which is a really good example to use, we don't need to have a product such as HVAC within a building. Actually, what a building owner or a tenant could do is buy the service of heat or light. So effectively, the owner of the product decides what's the most efficient way to deliver that. So on an individual building level, it could be by replacing the system on a regular basis to optimize that as a service. It could be about looking at community heating and power solutions. So actually thinking about where we are in terms of providing a service as part of circularity becomes really important. That's kind of sort of a really deep example, but if you start to look at it from a product level, it could be about building products, designing products that can be repaired, that can be improved. We've had conversations with computer manufacturers about how can you take the core of a computer and upgrade it on a regular basis. So you're buying that product knowing that it can be upgraded on a regular basis. The question, I suppose, is why are we doing this? We're doing this because it actually uses resources in a more efficient way. It actually is a more profitable solution. It is about providing an experience. And if you think about the evolution we're on, we're moving from a product economy to a service economy. But our ultimate goal is what's the experience for the person that is buying that service? And I think if we design things to give the client a better experience, everybody wins in this conversation. We use less resources, we have more profitable models, but actually the end user gets a better outcome at the end of the day. So it's about moving from that linear economy to a circular process by designing things in a way that actually thinks about the user, uses resources more effectively, thinks about the income stream, and thinks about life extension, reuse, dispose, and how we can remake things in the most effective way. That's a long answer, isn't it?
It was great. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much. I mean, you know, on one hand, we talk about transformative change, but you gave very concrete examples of how to achieve that. And I think that's the most important thing. To approach it on one hand concretely, but on the other hand have a philosophy behind that. So thank you for unpacking the concept of circular economy. Okay, I would like to ask the next question for Mr. Cho. What I liked about your presentation is you said, well, you know, it's not difficult to prepare the documents to join this awards if you already are sustainable, if you already follow its principles. And I thought that was inspiring in the sense of, yeah, it doesn't have to be difficult to prepare the documents if you are actually doing good already. You gave your example, your presentation, several examples of projects that you were doing. One was on nature-based solutions. The other one was building a comprehensive cancer hospital in Dubai. And you have a debris flow predictor. And what I saw in all three examples is that you talked about involving the local community, or, you know, the local community in the sense of, you know, considering patients of the hospital and their families also as some kind of local community as well. I was just wondering, how are you involving the local community? What are steps that others can learn in being involved with the local community, in communicating with them and trying to find solutions that are based on their needs as well? Could you maybe give some insights on that?
Sure. Yeah. So these are very good questions, and these are actually some of the most challenging tasks when it comes to driving collectively towards sustainability. You know, it's how you bring people along. I can actually give you some examples from each of the projects that we've undertaken. So first of all, in the wetland project, it just so happens there are actually indigenous people living in the vicinity of the wetlands. Initially, they were very resistant to any sort of construction work happening in the area, even though it's going to be a wetland, even though after it's completed, it's going to look nice. There was none of that, right? So you need to develop a good program of reaching out and to really understand what is it they're concerned about, and how can you make sure they understand the overall benefits of the project. You need to make sure you don't lose them along the way. So we actually undertook multiple workshops in the local area, and we made sure we invited the local community to join us. Turned out they were actually concerned that some of the original access routes and also some of the places where they were doing some sort of casual farming would be affected by construction work. So that was easily resolved because we were responsible for the design, so we can actually make sure we don't, we sort of go around the area and not touch where they were, what they had works on. But the other thing is, after we explain the kind of benefits, both socially, economically, and environmentally, that we can bring to the community there, they then open their arms and say, okay, it looks like it's going to be a good project to have in the area. And also to make sure they're on board, we even make sure that we, as part of the recreational amenities that we design with the project, we also make sure we included potential future employment opportunities for them by making sure there are actually stores for them to showcase some of their handicrafts, some of their local products, and also just general recreational area for them to showcase their culture. It becomes possible in the future to bring in tourism, to bring in economic activities, so they like that. So in the process, they start seeing maybe if they work with the project a little bit, maybe they get to become the beneficiary of this project, which is going to be good for them and good for the environment. It's a win-win. So that was for the wetland project. The hospital project in Dubai, at the moment, is still design stage. So at the moment, we're still doing stakeholder identification and reaching out. But what we found out from our previous hospital experience is every city, there's some uniqueness to the way the governments and the hospitals do healthcare. Like for the case of Dubai, they're actually in the process of trying to transform the healthcare system so that it becomes more community-based. What that means is, instead of everyone visiting the hospital, creating a centralized healthcare unit, but where you need a lot of people, a lot of caretakers to be centralized, to them, they're trying now this model of decentralized. So for certain services and care, you can actually enjoy them at home. So it's the caretakers reaching out to you. So what you enjoy happens right at your home in your local community, right? So there's that benefit. But that requires education because there's changing behavior, changing how people are used to, go to their healthcare services. So that part you also need to have a consultation happening. Yeah. The final project, debris predictor, that's innovation, right? So the most difficult thing is how you convince the cities to take it on board, right? Obviously, anything that's a technology, that's a model-based solution, it's always going to take a few projects in trial before people start realizing, okay, so this is useful, this is technically sound, people will start believing. So part of what we're doing at the moment is we're trying now using this model in smaller pilot projects across different continents. You probably saw in the video, we're doing this in North America, doing this in UK. We just did a pilot in Indonesia. So we're trying to make sure the stakeholders, cities and communities, they are buying into the technology. But to do that, we need to create the credibility for people to believe it. And that's something for us to invest in. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I learned much more now. I think it's important, right? I mean, when we talk about community involvement, it's important to be like what you are clear about. How do you involve the community? But, you know, we can think about further steps, you know, like communities are not like an homogeneous entity. They're different interests in a community. We can be intersectional, right? So there are many different voices within a community, but I'm happy you elaborated more on that, and thank you so much. Because of time concerns, I will move on to the next question for Mr. Tsai. Mr. Tsai, well, I liked it that you focused on education and STEM education. And you showed a slide about that there's a drop in students engaging in STEM education. And you showed clearly about how many students you have to involve, the partners that you included. And you also have a clear vision that by 2032, you would like to, you know, have achieved something. But I was just wondering, actually I have two questions. The first question would be, why do you specifically focus on rural area? What was the motivation behind that? And the second question is, how do you keep track of the students that you involved in your program? So I assume that it's not an activity, but it's a process. So what mechanisms do you have in place to keep track of the progress of each individual students? As a teacher myself, I understand how students can be very diverse. So what mechanisms do you have in place to ensure your ultimate goal, get more students into STEM education and perhaps more female students into STEM education as well? Thank you. That's my question.
Well, it's a bigger question, but I can tell you is Synapsis has a great culture about our ESG. So for your question, how to motivate our employee to join this? Well, when I send an email to our peers, hey, everyone, to join us to hold or organize this event, do you want to join us? And I will receive more than 100 emails. They want to join us. So how to motivate it? I believe that is in our culture to cultivate our employee will join these programs to cook education programs to teach the rural kids. So I have no idea to tell you how we motivate that, because the employee will join the list by their own purpose or based on our culture. So what is your question number two?
How do you keep track of the students that are involved in your projects? So how do you keep track of their progress? And your ultimate goal is to get more students into the STEM sector. So what mechanisms do you have in place?
Well, we do an annual check by our core team, and the core team will send an email to their parent or kids directly. And the other student, we are very care about their future and their education status, and they will give us more detailed feedbacks based on our question. So we will understand what are their current status and what gaps we can support them. We can work with our NGO team like Teach for Taiwan, Yangming Jiang Tongkong University, or other NGO partners to support them to improve their education status, or eliminate or expand their other software design skills.
Excellent.
Do I answer your question?
You did, yes. So maybe just because you answered my question so fast, so but in a great way. To what extent do you involve teachers? So to what extent, I mean, it's great to involve students. Do you provide certain trainings for teachers of junior high schools as well? Or is it?
Yes. Well, it depends on our SERA program. The SERA programs support 4 peoples, including students, researchers, educators, and entrepreneurs. So it depends on different group. We will provide a different solution for them.
Okay, thank you. And well, great to hear that so many people at Synapsis are willing to volunteer. I think that shows, well, the commitment of your individual employees as well. I would like to ask the 4th question for Mr. Huang. Honhai is a massive global organization operating across many cultures and regions. And in the face of today's fast-changing geopolitical and economic and environmental challenges, how do you stay coordinated and responsive across such a complex network?
It's a good question. At Foxconn, we have set up a smart and a transparent way for different teams to work together using tech, power systems, and the regular checks from independent auditors. When the global industry changes, we use Foxconn's global footprint to stay competitive. We also run training programs to help bring different cultures together and improve our ESG practice. This kind of flexible and organized management system is a big part of how we tackle global challenges. This is my answer.
I mean, when I look at global challenges, I often get a headache. I'd rather not watch the news these days because of all the challenges that we are facing right now. And as a father of 2 kids, I'm sometimes worried and anxious about the future. So I hope Foxconn can make a positive change. So perhaps, we can't talk about sustainability today without touching on digital transformation. How is technology helping you to achieve your sustainability goals at Honhai?
Yes, because our global footprint we based on over 20 countries, and so we have over 900,000 employees. So digital is very important for us. So digital transformation is a key for driving ESG. At Foxconn, we launched the Foxconn Sustainability System, which help us monitor and analyze 32 long-term sustainability goals in real time. This allows our management team to quickly access data, predict risks, and make different decisions. It not only improves operational efficiency, but also help us adjust our strategies quickly in response to uncertainties, like political or economic shifts. Digital and data-driven approaches are becoming essential for driving ESG and will play an important role in innovation and competition. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Huang. Because of time constraints, I would like to give the floor one more time to Mr. Townsend or Keynote to maybe provide a closing thoughts or like a take-home message or just a general advice about how to balance being profitable with being purpose-driven. Could you perhaps give us a take-home message or a key advice that you would like to share with all of us and the people that will be watching the video about, some closing thoughts?
This has to be your best question of all, I suppose.
I only ask good questions.
So I'm going to leave you, therefore, with a definition. And I think everybody on this call already understands this definition, but I hope it's going to help people in terms of navigating what we need to try and do, because I do honestly believe that being purpose-driven is the solution to lots of things we've talked about today. And actually, when I say purpose-driven, what do I mean? I think the purpose of a business is to produce profitable solutions to solve the problems of people and the planet, and not to profit from producing problems to people on the planet. So just to kind of like repeat that, it's about how do businesses create profitable solutions to solve the problems of people on the planet and not create problems in the first instance. And I think if we keep that as our North Compass, we're doing a good job.
Very inspiring. Thank you so much. I would like to give the floor back to Miss Sydney.
Well, that's a tough response to follow, Mr. Townsend. That was very inspiring and so eloquently worded. But I wanted to take one more moment to answer a frequently asked question about the Global Corporate Sustainability Award, Sustainability Reporting Award, kind of following up on my presentation. So the question is, why do we value the multimedia application aspect at 50% of the total score? And the answer is connected to what we've been talking about. It lies in the importance of disclosure as a foundation for transparency and really making your sustainability message clear. So effectively communicating your sustainability, social and governance practices, which includes elevating and uplifting your employees and your local communities, as we've seen demonstrated by our award winners, is essential. And on a global scale, a strong digital presence, as we've also seen from our speakers today, becomes especially important. It helps overcome language barriers and broadens access to your message. So the more complete and accessible your disclosure, the greater its impact. And in line with today's theme of technology, we strongly encourage the use of multimedia elements in the Sustainability Reporting Award and digital tools as well to amplify and strengthen your sustainability communications. So that concludes our Q&A session. Thank you again to our wonderful speakers for your insightful messages. It was such a joy to hear from all of you. I would like to close out again today by thanking not just our wonderful speakers, but also our attendees online from all over the world, as well as our organizers at TICE for such an inspiring evening. Let's remember as we close today that meaningful sustainability progress happens when vision meets accountability and when bold ideas are backed by tangible action. We're grateful to each of you for the work that you do to move us towards a more sustainable world. And we also hope that you take away newfound purpose, as we've been talking about, and motivation from our forum tonight. On the next screen, you'll see a QR code, and we'd greatly appreciate your feedback on today's event, what inspired you, and how we can continue to improve. Thank you again for being part of the 2025 GCSA Sustainable Excellence Forum. It's been an honor to be your host tonight alongside Dr. Barak, and let's continue learning, collaborating, and driving progress together. Thank you, and good night from Taipei.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.